Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is April the 11th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar and 2021 on the sovereign Greco-Roman, ancient Greco-Roman calendar. This is all rise and stand. This is a sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine, living, Article 3, Moorish American Consular Court action. I am sovereign, living justice, Pauline Denise Ritchie, in capitis, dimiutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio, in proprio, heredes. My free chosen sovereign appellation is like to jury bay, in capitis, dimiutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio, and in proprio, heredes. I'm excited about the things that we're going to talk about today. Empress Cynthia and Dave, go ahead. I'll yield the floor. Islam, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to share that I live in Plymouth National Forest, and I believe that the earth is rejoicing that we're awake because it is so beautiful. I have never seen the forest the way it looks right now. And if anyone lives in the area, any of the forest, go take a look. And there are certain plants that weren't thriving well, and they're robust and beautiful. The oak trees are chartreuse green. Their color is amazing. So I feel the earth knows that we're awake, and I just wanted to share that with the Moors. Islam.
Yes, Islam. You know what, Empress, that's so true. That is so true, you know, because the same thing is happening here. We're seeing things bloom, and then I'm even hearing in the media that plants that haven't been seen in 150 years are starting to bloom. You know, so yes, the earth is doing
it's called spring, you dumb bitch.
Which is acknowledging the air. I'm just loving it, and you know, we know that we can't be stopped. We're unstoppable. So let me go ahead and I'll tell you what. All we have to do at this point, heirs, is just stay steady and keep moving forward like we've been doing. Keep doing our demonstrations. Keep doing our studies, because it's a wrap on everything that's not real. It's a wrap on everything that's not real. Our Article 3 Consular Court, the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, the Moorish American Consulate, and the Moorish American Consular Court, and that's all Moors, we know that we have changed the atmosphere and the frequency of the earth. We know that already. We don't need anybody to validate that. We don't need anybody to, you know, we know that already. And that means all heirs have done that. All of the Moors have done it, not just some of us, you know.
Go ahead. You got some more.
So,
go get it.
Yes, grand rising, Justice Eddie, Islam. This consulate, and this is a conversation that I had with one of the heirs today. Just one moment. That I had with one of the heirs today. The consulate is spoken of on all land and all territories all over our earth, and for that we are grateful. We know that already. We don't need anybody to validate that. We've already pulled up the information from the databases and things that we have in place. My question, and this is a question just to think about. This is for the heirs to think about. Because, see, you know, we've done our study, and we already know that we're not confused, not even a little bit, about the things that we're saying and the things that the ancestors have shown. About consulates, about our courts, about ancient English, also about in capitis dimiutio nolo. Let me tell you, we're not confused, not even a little bit, and we're going to discuss how that is all connected today. The question that I have for the heirs is this. Now we know the answers, so but it's just something for us as a nation to think about. What court venue, other than the Moorish American Consular Court, has the authority on our land to hear diversity of nationality issues? What other venue on our land, aside from our Moorish American Consular Court, has the authority to hear diversity of citizenship even? You can start 6. Anyone who knows the answer to that?
None.
That's it. That's it. Not a single one. So anyone who is claiming a nationality ought to be doing their own consular court action. Anyone claiming nationality ought to be doing that. Because this is the Moors, the heirs, are the only venue on the land that has the authority to even deal with quote-unquote federal questions of diversity of nationality and diversity of citizenship. Because even where citizenship is concerned, we're not citizens, but there are citizens on our land. So if there is a question between the heirs and the citizens, the consul shall decide. So who is it that would even have a problem with the consular court being on our land? Not that we're foreign, but that we have allowed foreigners to come onto our land. Those who have a different nationality than us, and those who have a different, a diverse citizenship. We are the ones who have allowed them to come onto our land, so why wouldn't we provide the venue? Why wouldn't we? That's our responsibility, to govern the land where foreigners and diversity of nationality is our brothers and sisters who are from other lands. They're here already. We're supposed to have the venue. We're supposed to provide the government for those who have come here. Our Grand Chief Tariq Bey is the one who kind of sparked that whole flame of the consular venues and consular courts being active on the land. And once we did our research and our own homework, we know that we must provide government for those who are on our land, the foreigners who are here on our land. See, we're home. We're home. And that's why it's our responsibility. Because, see, no foreigner should be providing court services on our land, period. That's for us to do. That's why the consulate and the consular courts are active and are going to remain active. And if you look back in history, all the way back to the Code of Hammurabi and, all of that, it talks about consulates being here on this land. We are the law. We are the government. That's what courts are. The law and the government. And did you know that the definition of police is government? We're the police too. That's why we don't call policy enforcers police. Because we're it. We're the sheriff. We're all of that. So then we must provide the consular venue to our guests on the land, because they're all guests. They're visitors. And if someone comes to your domicile and they visit your domicile, you don't expect them to sit down and put on a pair of pajamas and ask you if you want something to eat out the kitchen. No, you provide that service in your domicile. And for us, the government services is the law, the courts, the police, the protection on our land. That's us. We do that. We secure the estate. Now, even where the consular venue is concerned, we see that, you know, there are some who are still waking up to in capitis dimiutio nolo, writing in all lowercase letters in red, and that's okay. Feel free to take as much time as you need to wake up to that. But if we didn't do that, and we stayed with capitalism, what would be the difference between our court documents and hybrid fake foreign corporate court documents? Because see, those aren't real courts. So why would our documents look anything like theirs? That's why we use letterhead, government letterhead, and they don't. Because see, they don't use government letterhead, in case anyone has not noticed. They don't use government letterhead on their quote-unquote corporate court documents. Okay, they don't. Because they already know they're not a real court. They're not a real government. So let's talk about in capitis dimiutio nolo and how that relates to consular court. We cannot differentiate between fake courts and real courts except by the documents. Because if someone makes a special appearance, they're not standing in front of you, so you can't see that they're in air. You're just looking at documents. That's all the ones that were doing business at the Supreme Court. They didn't even have people to show up. They just looked at documents. Well, if our documents look just like citizen documents, and the writing looks the same, and the language is the same, then they're going to say, okay, these are two citizens. How can you even tell if when you see hieroglyphs, whether it's a knockoff done by a hybrid or something that's done by the original indigenous sovereign? It looks different. It's written in a specific way. We can tell the difference between hybrids pretending to have pretending to do Stonehenge and recreate all of that. We can tell the difference. How do you know that it's a writ or an affidavit done by the original indigenous heirs versus one where some hybrid is hypothecating and attempting to be sovereign? It's by the writing and the language. It is called, yes, in the chat, national expression. There has to be a self-national expression to distinguish the two. Our sovereign court, as we continue to stand, because we're going to do that, we're the ones who have to see the diversity of nationality cases and causes of action. That's treaty law. Because, see, people talk about treaty law, but how do you even determine treaty law? The treaty talks about diversity of nationality. It says if a Moor does this and a citizen does that, the consul shall decide. So who has a problem with a consular court run by the heirs? When the treaty is pointing straight to the heirs as being the ones who should be doing that. And it didn't say a lawyer or an attorney should decide. It said a consul. That means there's a consular court that's active. That's why our Grand Chief Tashri Bates said what he said about consular courts and seeing the urgency of it. That was one of the first things I heard in 2017 when I woke up. Is we need to get the courts need to be up and active and running. And that's all I needed to hear. before I would dig straight on into the study and see for myself. Because, see, the heirs don't take anyone's word for anything. We look and we study. How can you teach treaty law if you don't know that a consul shall decide and a consular court is the venue? When you're talking about the difference between Moors and citizens. And then when you're looking at the document, how do you know a sovereign document from a citizen document that they taught, you know, in those hybrid schools? Hopefully you all can see. But see, this is what's going on right here, right now. The hybrids don't want capitalism, that black piece, to go away. And I can't say all hybrids, because some of them do want it to go away because they're bound by it too. And they know that their only way out is through the heirs. It's for us to know that capital letters and black ink is slavery. If you don't believe that that's slavery, look at every debt that you have ever seen. Look at all the debt out there. Look at all the debt that they try to push on the heirs. How is it written? It's not written in blue. It ain't like there's a shortage of blue ink. There isn't. If you can make black ink, you can make blue ink. If you can make blue ink, you can make red ink. Why is everything in black? And why are there capital letters everywhere? And why did they teach that in the hybrid schools?
Islam Empress.
Yes.
Your board is I can't see what you wrote on there. It's not visible from here.
Okay. It just says slavery. I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to be seen or not. I can just state it. I'll just say thank you for letting me know so I wouldn't keep writing and nobody can see it.
Islam.
But capital letters and black ink, that's what the hybrids use, so we already know that we have to do something different from that. If that's what they're teaching, and then there are hybrids out there now saying we want to be free from capital letters. If you don't believe me, I'll go ahead and put something in the chat for you to see. A video for you to look at where the hybrids are saying that they do not want to be bound by capital letters because they know that it's fraud, et cetera, et cetera. Here, let me go ahead and put that. I'll put a link to that in the chat, just so that you all can see it. So that's one moment. Okay. Here, let me go ahead and put this in the chat. Just one moment. Islam in the chat. Okay. Let me put this in the chat right here. I'll put a link there. In the chat, I'll put a link to a video where, now, first of all, the title of the video contains the words, Rise of the Sovereign. We already know that ain't nobody but us, and it's a hybrid speaking in the video. Yes, Islam. In the chat, they call it fictitious grammar. That's why we use ancient English, because we assign the definitions that we want to assign to what we write. We attach our intention to what we want to write. not a fictitious court telling us what the word means. See, when a lot of Moors were going into those fake courts, and they were talking about the Constitution this and the Constitution that, and then they were wondering why they were getting thrown in jail again. It's because they're taking documents in there that look like citizen documents. Black ink, capital letters everywhere. And they're talking about a Constitution, and the fact that they were even in those fake courts says that they yield to the jurisdiction instead of doing their own court action. Fictitious grammar. That's what the hybrids call it, fictitious grammar, and they say, and they're trying to find ways around it by using things like parse syntax. We don't have to do that. We have ancient English where we assign our intention and our energy to the things that we write. That means that we determine what it means, and no one else can change that because it's our sovereign writing. In red, in all lowercase letters. And I'll say this. When the consular venue supposedly went away in 1956, part of the reason why it went away is because every time they saw documents, they didn't see any difference between citizen documents and people calling themselves nationals. You did not need a consular court if you can't tell the difference of nationality in the documents. The ones that were doing business at the Supreme Court, they don't even look at people, they look at documents. And we know we're the Supreme Court on the land. We're the only one. Everything else is fraud, it's corporate. And whenever people would call themselves appealing to the Supreme Court or the Ninth Circuit Court Corporation, etc., they never went in there. All they did was send documents. Well, in 1956, if no one knew that we needed to be using all lowercase letters and red ink and our own government letterhead, then you can't tell the difference, and as far as they're concerned, there are no nationals on the land. So they began to act like there were no nationals on the land when we're sitting right here. Okay, just one moment. Just one moment. Let me open up the meeting. Yes, now we stand. We're wide awake. Okay. So now that we're talking about Islam, now that we're talking about capital letters and black ink and how we need to be making a difference even on our documents don't need to have black ink and capital letters because, see, you can't have a consular court without competent documents. Our documents must be competent. And if our court documents look like citizen court documents, why are we here? The Christ spoke in red, even in the red letter edition bibliohelio text. Every word that was spoken by the Savior was in red. And then when you do the etymology on capital letters and decapitalization and capitalism, it's going to tell you that somebody in that capitalism equation is property and somebody is attempting to have some superior status over the property. Islam, Justice Nael. I got you. Islam. So all we got to do is pick up a dictionary and look in it. Look at capitalism and look at, and then define nation. Define nation. A nation in any dictionary must have a language in common. They must have a language that everyone can understand in our case. Our language is not dead language. Because, see, they used to say Latin was a dead language. Well, as long as we were thinking that we were asleep, then, you know, it was. But it's not now. We're wide awake and we're using Moorish Latin. And, in fact, Moorish Latin never was a sleeping language. It never was. It never was a dead language. It never was dead because we never died. Yes, Islam, oh wow, that's beautiful right there. Empress Shatali, what you're saying in the chat is just major. That's major. That's major. Hang on one second, I'm trying to get my computer plugged up so it does not. Okay, there we go. In the chat, Empress Chatali said, the Savior's words were in red because he was in his proper person. Absolutely, yes. Yes.
You sound awful angry tonight, Pauline.
Absolutely, yes. Oh, no, I'm excited. Get out of here, though. You're going to be quiet in here today. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put you on hold. I'm excited. And ensure that whenever hybrids address you, that they address you in your proper person. And that one's been put in subject status because this is a court action. So, yes, Islam. So, now, consular court and consulate, the host nation, because we're the host nation, Islam Empress, glad you made it. We're the host nation. We're hosting all of the visitors and the foreigners on our land. Why would we not provide court services on our own land to ensure that the land stays in our possession? Why? That's a must. That has to happen. We're the ones who are supposed to provide court services on our own land. And it must be consular services because we're the ones hosting all the foreigners and the subjects and those with diversity of citizenship and diversity of nationalities. We're the ones who did that. It's our duty. It's our duty to provide court services for everyone on our land. That's what government does. And all you have to do if you want to validate that is our prophet said that the European was going to be here long enough to teach us how to govern. They didn't tell us, but there was only a. This is the crazy part. When the heirs went to sleep, when we went to sleep, little did we know that the ones doing business as fake Jews had their own fake court, which have been dispersed, by the way. Those ones doing business as fake Jews, that's why you never saw them, the Hasidic Jews. The ones doing business as Hasidic Jews, you never saw them in a courtroom where they had the little curly things going down the way. You never saw the Amish, those doing business as Amish on our land. You never saw them in the court. You very rarely saw any Asians in the court. The only ones you saw was the ones who didn't have their own court. The Moors and some hybrids. Those are hybrid courts until the Moors have court. And now our court, they don't have a choice. They have to come to our court. And that's what we're preparing for now. That's why all Moors are the court. All Moors are the law. All Moors are justices and consuls and judges. We're going to need all hands on deck because everybody that's on this land mass has to come through us if they want to be saved on this land. And I'm just going to put that in those terms because that's what it really is. So am I excited about that? I am excited about that. We got a lot of work to do. But it's worth it because everything belongs to us. And when our courts are just and our courts are fair, which they are, they always have been. That's why the whole earth is waiting. That's why the whole earth is waiting. Because they already know we're always going to do the right thing. It's our vast estate. So now, in order for us to do that, because see, some people, haven't awakened to the fact that in order for us to they may want to attack the consulate part and say, you don't have the authority to be a consulate. Yes, we do. It's in our blood. And in fact, it's not even a matter of authority. We got that. It's a matter of that's our responsibility. That's our responsibility. Who else is going to do it and do it fairly and rule in the favor of the Moors? Like our prophet said, when the economy starts back up again, it's going to be in the favor of the Moors. Favor ain't fair, but it is fair. See, on that other side over there in the Christian church, the hypothecated Christian church, not the real. The hypothecated Christian church, they used to say favor ain't fair. On our land, it is, because it's our land. It's our land. And nationality is the order of the day. So now,
Jesus Christ, Pauline, did you snort some coke before you started to call your dumb fucking dick?
In order for us to even do that, we have to be what? Sovereign. Each justice is sovereign, standing without any other standing with them, even though we always stand together. We're never alone because we're one, period. But each and every one of the Moors, by themselves, is sovereign. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Don't let anybody tell you any different. A flag is not sovereign unless it belongs to the heirs, and the heirs say it's sovereign. That's where inanimate objects get their delegation from us. And we're not even delegating it any authority. We're just saying that's our flag. That's our flag. It is the flag of a sovereign nation and a sovereign government. So don't let anybody tell you you're not sovereign. You must be sovereign if you're going to be ruling and judging and being the justice on the land. Justice is sovereign. Yeshua is sovereign. I'm sovereign. You're sovereign. You must be. Now, does anyone have a law dictionary where they can read what the word sovereign means? Anyone, doesn't matter who. Just star 6 let's give a minute to look up the word sovereign. And if someone could read the definition of the word sovereign as a noun. We'll give just a minute to look it up. Anyone, doesn't matter.
The Negro full of shit.
The court jester. This is the court action, that's the court jester. Anyone to define the word sovereign as a noun. We gave the hybrid, the hybrid took his opportunity. Now we need a Moor to take the opportunity. Anyone have it? The definition of the word. I know that there are some heirs who have law dictionaries right at your grasp. Go ahead, Empress.
Well, here's one said from Legal Information Institute. Sovereignty is a political concept that refers to dominant power or supreme authority. In a monarchy, supreme power resides in the sovereign or king. The sovereign is the one who exercises power without limitation. Sovereignty is essentially the power to make laws, even a Blackstone defined in it. Even as Blackstone defined in it.
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Islam. Go ahead, Justice. Thank you, Empress.
This one says a person body or state in which independent and supreme authority is vested, a chief ruler with supreme power, a king or other ruler with limited power. In English law, a gold coin of Great Britain of the value of £1 sterling. This is the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition.
Islam. Supreme ruler. Supreme ruler. Who is it with this noble bloodline and birthright that's not the supreme ruler of their own vast estate? Does anyone else govern your vast estate? Is anyone else the supreme ruler of your affairs? The answer to that is no. You and I are the supreme rulers of our own affairs and of our own vast estate because we each have our own vast estate. We each have our own vast estate. And here's another something. Our own vast estate, each one of us has the equivalent of, and we actually have more than that, of the GDP of all countries combined within us, each one of us. Each one of us. Now tell me that's not sovereign. You have to be sovereign to have an estate that big. And I'll say this. As more and more wake up to all that belongs to us, we're going to be tested into the proper, alignment with the law. We all have been and we all are. We continue to be. What we do cannot, should not, and by definition is not what the courts did. Black ink in capital letters is court language. That's why when you go to a graveyard, everything is in all capital letters there. Because it's the dead. That's the dead, not the zombie dead. And here's another something. Not only is the consular venue a place where national expression must rule, national expression That means we have our own language. We have our own everything. We have our own courts. We have our own land. Everything. We have our own bank, our own money, everything. And we're getting there. We're getting there. In other words, we have it. We have all of that already. We just need to realize it and competently express it. See, some people think that just because they are of the bloodline and birthright, that they don't have to do anything else. Actually, it's just the opposite. Nobility is proven. It's not presumed or assumed. That's how they know the difference between us and someone who might look like us but doesn't have the bloodline and the birthright. Is that we're competent. That's exciting. Yes, we must be the most competent on the earth. We have to be the most competent on the earth. And that's not difficult to be. When we clear our energies and we tune in to the ancestral energies and then we connect with one another like we're doing today, all of the answers are right within our nation. We have the answers to everything right here. So look back at, if you have any questions about writing in red, red sets the tone of what you're saying. And our tone is always a bloodline and birthright tone. The colors that you use, because see, you know, as long as someone that's doing business as a sovereign citizen says, oh, we should write in purple with yellow because that's royal, then people are okay with that. They don't argue with the hybrids about that. But when we say we are to write in red in all lowercase letters, ancient English, in order to avoid using fictitious grammar, then it's a problem. As long as the hybrids are saying it's okay with some. Hybrids can say whatever they say, and that's all right. I'm not bashing anybody. You know why? Because we got to come up anyway. We have to rise anyway. We have to supersede all that we've been taught by hybrids. And that to me is actually exciting. The whole consular venue is based on national self-expression and the things that are listed in the definition of a nation and of a government and of the law. Those things are unique to our consulate and our consular venue. That's what makes our consular venue like no other. And then, by the same token and on the other hand, the entire prison industrial complex and all of its dead corporate commerce is based on capital letters and black ink. They cannot exist without those things. There's nothing in their system that will allow the prison system to put anything in red in all lowercase letters. But they can sure use black, plenty of that, and plenty of capital letters. And then when it's time to see, we just proved that a month ago, 2 months ago, almost 2 months ago, that, yeah, they do have some black ink in that prison place. They got some blue ink, too. We proved that. They got some blue ink in there. And I know they got red ink in there, too, but they're not supposed to use it. We're using that's us. But we show in the documents when we freed ourselves from the POW camp that they have blue ink. But we must raise them from the dead so that they can be in their proper subject status. That's their proper person in subject status. Blue ink. And sure enough, for the first time, I've not seen them do anything in blue ink until then. Go back and look at all those documents out there. All of us who've been detained and in those cells, look at all of the documents that came with that and see if you see any blue ink. It's all been black with capital letters everywhere. That ought to tell us that there's something to it that they have not been saying and that they've not been showing. But they can't until we do. We the heirs. Because they know we're the law and we're the government. Now, that brings me to another suggestion, because you sure cannot tell sovereigns what to do, and every last Moor is a sovereign. So we don't try to tell the heirs what to do. All we can do is share what we know. Do the study, and this is a suggestion, do the study on setting yourselves free from that black ink and capital letters piece. Completely setting yourselves free from it so that you will know how to do it, so that they can't keep using that on you. We have other ways to do commerce, which brings me to another point. On April 26th, at 7 p.m., we're going to be on this venue right here, April 26th, 2021, 1442. We're going to be on this venue right here doing a sovereign investment symposium. All Moors are invited, and please do not bring any Federal Reserve debt notes because we don't use them. We don't want them. Keep them. We don't use that stuff. We're going to, how can I put this, be ourselves commercially. We're going to come together and we're going to unify on that day, and we're going to go full speed ahead in commerce using sovereign, gold-backed, lawful coinage. So come prepared to unify, continue to unify, because we're already unified. We already are. You know, we've been hearing, oh, you know, we're not unified and all that. We're unified. We're right here together, unified right now. So come ready and prepared to do sovereign commerce and to hear how we're going to move forward on that. I am so excited about it that it's just, we got this. We've got it. And if you have been paying attention to, and Moors always pay attention to these things, that other fake system that we grew up with, that system's finished. It's done. And so this is the perfect time for a sovereign investment symposium. The perfect time. And I'll say this too. The less fiat you have, it's going to be a lot easier for you to transition to the reset, the gold-backed sovereign reset, the financial reset. It's going to be a lot easier for you because that means that you have fewer contracts to terminate. So it's right in alignment with the biblio text when it says the first shall be last and the last shall be first. We're going to be the head and not the tail. Those, and now I'm not saying that those who have lots and lots of fiat can't participate as Moors. You can participate as Moors. But this symposium is specifically geared towards us who we don't have any corporate contracts, or you have very few, and it's going to be easy for you. You're not worried too much about you know, losing 30 domiciles and 20 conveyances. If you don't have 30 domiciles and 20 conveyances, then the symposium is for you. It's for you because it's going to be so much easier for us to just slide right on into the new reset. The reset is all about the heirs, and we're the only ones who can do a reset. Okay? And we'll tell you a lot more about that on that day. It's going to be interesting, to say that. And everyone is cordially invited. And we're looking forward to seeing all the more there. All who want to participate in the reset, the new economy. Because that other one doesn't have anything else left. They're done. They have nothing else left. Nothing else left but complete enslavement, and that's not going to happen because we're here. We're late. And that's the reason why they don't have anything left. And if you listen to them now, you know, just a little bit, I don't suggest that people listen to them because they lie a lot. But even now, they're starting to tell the truth about the fact that they don't have anything left because there's no more credit. Why? Because the creditors are away. We're using our own credit. And when I say credit, I don't mean credit like debt credit. I mean credit like wealth credit. Because we're the creditors to all the nations at Earth. Are there any questions about any of this? And again, remember, please, Morris, that the consular venue, the only way to express diversity of citizenship and diversity of nationality in a consular venue is by proper documentation. Proper documentation. There must be a difference between the way between our national expression and that of the society. Because we know that the foreign hybrids that are here are not a nation, they're a society. And everyone cannot express themselves the way a society does or who's governing. Who's governing? If we all are doing the same thing in our documents. So there's a reason why the all lowercase letters and red in the ancient English is causing some discomfort. It's because it's against the programming. It's against the programming. The hybrids programmed all of us to write in black and capital letters with a number 2 pencil or a black ink pen. And if you wrote it in all lowercase letters, they would say, no, you can't do it that way. That ought to tell us right there that's what we should be doing. But here's the thing. We're going to continue using all lowercase letters, red ink, and ancient English. We're going to continue doing that. And here's the thing. The other nations of the earth, we're now communicating with them, and we're going to be telling them to use the same thing in their languages. We have recently exchanged energy with a nation over in the other Africa, and they have been having nobility ceremonies where they wear the red fez, and they have a ceremony once they reach a certain point in life that they all come together and they celebrate those who have accepted their nobility. And when I told them that they're noble from birth, it resonated with them. It really resonated with them. And only the men have been doing those ceremonies over there. The nobility ceremony, when that's their bloodline and birthright. And so they, too, will be writing in red, in all lowercase letters, using whatever language they choose, because they know several. because they've been colonized by different entities at different times. But they're watching. They're watching, and they see what we're doing, and the energies match. The energies match. And when that truth center is hit in all of us, we know what to do. We know what to do. Without anyone telling us, when the truth center is hit, we know what to do. And so, you know, we're getting some pushback on the, you know, in capitis, dimiutio, nolo, and the red ink and all of that. That's okay. We're going to keep using it. We're going to keep doing it. That's the only way we express ourselves. Every document we have is a court action. We start all of our documents with all rise and stand. This is a sovereign, living, Article 3, Moroccan, ancient Moorish American consular court action. And we use our consular court language for everything we do. We don't even speak unless it's a consular court action, because little did we all know that even on the side of the road and even in the grocery stores and all of that, they were doing court actions the whole time. That's why they felt so comfortable trying to tell people that they need to wear a mask on our own land, because they felt like they had all their court actions in, you know, in line, and that we're supposed to do whatever they say. They're guests. So we just do our court actions right there on the spot. And then we give commands, period. And that's not war, that's peace. That's stopping the war energy. Because, see, corpses and corporations, that's war energy. And the only way to stop the war energy is to do a court action, put them in the proper status, raise them from the dead, and then put them in subject status and tell them, this is not a war, we're at peace. That's how peace is expressed. That's the national expression of peace, is a court action. That's the only way that they know we're awake. If we kept running to their courts, they would think we're still asleep, because they know we're not supposed to be there.
And tonight on Pauline's Bullshit Hour,
there it is right there. So in the chat, Empress, she put that was the Savior's whole mission, to bring us out of the Roman system and back to the original divine fold of government. Yes, absolutely. Justice Frank, Diversity, Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution. There you go. Justice Jeremore in the chat. What is the Moorish covenant, the Holy Quran, Circle 7 of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science? Chapter 25, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation, verses 1 through 5. Yes. Justice Nael in the chat. We are the truth and the light. Islam. What does part and parcel mean in the chat? It's the essential portion or element, the integral part, a vital part of a larger entity. The alliteration or repetition and tautology, a reiteration in the expression, serves to emphasize the importance of a constituent to the whole, which is a part to the whole, a part of the constitution that makes up the whole. An expression used as a legal term principally for clauses of law and for parts of a landing holding. Islam, Justice Jeremiah. Chief Israel, supreme power and authority in the chat. Yes, Islam. That is exactly what that is. Yes.
I put some of those in there because they are from the 108s. Which is one of the pieces of information that all consuls really need to know, because it's based on law, and the 108 questions and answers are there for people to know, to study, and to become more familiar with, because it's got many other answers, some better than the ones in there, but all of those are in fact, can be used properly, and you won't be out of order with them. but there are many other explanations that one can research in deeper, older writings and things of this sort to do with law. Just wanted to explain that part. This one.
Thank you, Justice Sheila. In the chat, Chief Israel, you put the authority of a state to govern itself or another state. Remember, and that is absolutely correct, where sovereign is concerned, know that state is state of mind. The authority of your state of mind to govern itself, that's what sovereign status is and sovereignty is. Our ability to self-govern ourselves first. Then we can talk about whole nations and whole governments. But our prophet said, I gave you everything you needed to save a nation. Now take it and save yourself, because he knew that we must first know how to govern ourselves before we can even think about governing a whole anything else, anyone else, the vast estate. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff that you're putting in the chat. Yes, Islam. So, wow, it's a lot of great stuff in the chat. A lot of the 101 I see. But even when we talk about gold and silver, gold-backed sovereign money, that is also sovereign money. So the word sovereign comes into being where money is concerned. Why? Because the sovereigns control the money. And that's what we're going to be going full scale into on April 26th. 2021, 1442, at 7 p.m. on this same platform. We're going to be moving.
If you aren't already in jail, that'd be great.
Full control of our own vast estate. This is the part that, you know, the resistance was coming in at, but we're here already. It's too late. It's too late. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone there, because we needed to come together this way. This was, just in my spirit, I feel like this was the last piece that we needed to really solidify. Everything else, our courts and all of that, our courts are already up and running. Moors are doing court actions all over the earth, actually, because they're being done in Indonesia, in China, in Thailand territory, French Guiana, South America territory, Mexico territory, Olmec territory, Canaan land, I mean, Japan, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq. Court actions are being done all over. Sovereign Article 3 consular court actions by the original indigenous heirs. They're being done all over. So our courts are up and fully active. Our consulate is up and fully active. It's everywhere. What else? This commerce piece is going to really, really bring into being and into this manifestation another part of what we all know is rightfully ours. So when we originally put the $666 trillion proclamation on the public record, that was just letting everybody know that we're awake, we know everything belongs to us, and we know we have to govern.
No, she's not muted. What?
Okay, I'm back. So when we put the $666 trillion proclamation on the public record, we were letting everyone know that we're awake, we know who we are, and we're going to be moving forward in putting all that we need to put on the public record so that we further solidify and show that we're competent to govern. And then we followed that up with liens on the United States corporation companies to stop their movement. And it's just like our prophet said, that the economy was going to grind to a halt. Grinding to a halt, it takes a while. That's what grind to a halt is all about. So you can do a lien, and then that's a huge thing that just grinds to a halt over time, based on the fact that the lien is stopping a mammoth court. Mammoth court. Okay. Now, speaking of stopping courses, I'm going to share something here on the screen so that you can be thinking about it. And I mentioned this briefly earlier, but I want to put a little bit more emphasis on doing a court action on that black all-cap monster that keeps attempting to attach itself to the sovereign heirs, whereby the prison industrial complex is using that and taking heirs as surety for it. So I want to point something out, because on January 1st of 1441, which was before our New Year. Our New Year is on March 20th and 21st. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. But on January 1st of 1441, which was this past January, I did a court action on the all-cap, all-black Pauline Denise Ritchie. And I issued an arrest warrant for that debtor, because that debtor is not me. We already know we're the creditors. But there are things that we can do in order to ensure that our creditor status is honest. So when I did the court action, I told you all some of the things that took place after I did that. The test came right after I did that. The test started. Within 24 hours, the bank account was frozen, and then over time, once that debt was removed, then the account started being active, and I was able to use it in my sovereign status as a sovereign resource account. So then actually a month and a week and 1 day after that, another test came. On February 8th, I was tested again to see, okay, is she going to go back to that all-cap thing in order to set herself free, or is she going to stand and be herself? So I went into the POW camp on February 8th, and I set myself free from there on February the 19th. So about 11 days. And during that time period, again, that was the removal completely, even in their system, of that all-cap thing. Because again, when I issued a warrant, a command, an arrest command for Pauline Denise Ritchie in all capital letters in black ink, that had to be tested to see, is she going to go back to that? Okay, and again, these are suggestions, heirs, because, you know, again, nobility is proven. It's not presumed or assumed. That's why, even though they see our faces and they know who we are, they were still doing things. Okay, so one thing I want to show you here, and here's the question with regard to that all black, all caps name. Why issue a sovereign living Article 3 Moorish American al Moroccan arrest command for the capitalized black person corporation known as the nom de guerre or warden? Why would I do that? And again, the war name looks like this. This is not me. That's not me. That is a court, okay, in all capital letters and black ink. Let me show you why I did that, okay? And whenever we want to, express a thought that we have, or whenever we want to explain something or make something clear, the first thing we do is pull out a dictionary, an older dictionary, unabridged, okay? Either unabridged or a Black's Law Dictionary, 1st through 4th edition, preferably the physical one, because the one that's online is sometimes can be hypothecated too. So I have a dictionary where I look up arrest, because I issued an arrest command for that all-black debtor that is not me. Arrest.
Pauline,
it's
you're
a
fucking
noun.
batshit crazy.
The act
you dumb
of
cunt.
arresting.
Dumb cunt, Pauline. You're a stupid.
Just one moment. You know, oh man, I love it. See, the hybrids, they taught us how to govern. So, and they've been issuing more rents for their own. That's why they kept taking more, because Moors kept thinking that we were that black thing when we're not that black thing. So I learned from them that, okay, if you're issuing an arrest warrant for that thing, I'm going to issue one too, because I know that's not me. I learned from them. So, issue the arrest warrant. What did I do? The act of arresting or state of being arrested. A stop, a hindrance, or restraint. Any stay, a seizure, a check, or interruption as of movement, growth, or development. I didn't want that thing pretending to be me, and I didn't want them to continue to make the mistake of, and it wasn't a mistake, they were doing that on purpose so that we would wake up and do what we did. Number 2, the taking or apprehending of a person, and we know we're not persons, by authority of the law. Well, who's the law? We are. Apprehension, legal custody or restraint. Any seizure or taking by power. Well, who has the power? The heirs. Physical or moral? Well, that thing is not physical. That's why they put the word moral on the end, because they know that thing does not, it doesn't have anything physical going on with it. It does not. It doesn't. So what did I do? Issue an arrest command from a real court. That's why I'm standing here now, because the real court must do that. That's a debtor. We're the creditor. And yes, that was tested. And when the test was passed, they didn't do that anymore. They put it in blue and said, this one's free. Now, they still weren't talking about me, because I'm in red and all lowercase letters. Okay. So it's just something to think about. Just think about it. And we always demonstrate at the level of our understanding. Okay. So those types of demonstrations, you know, when once the study is done, then we do the demonstration. You know, I'm ready for whatever the ancestors have for us because I know they're going to take care of us. And so, you know, and every time I say that, something happens. So let me just. Anyway. Are there any other questions or comments or anything like that? See, when the hybrids come on and they talk about, you know, going to jail and being arrested and all of that stuff, I already did that. I already put an arrest command out for that thing. That thing is the only thing they can talk about. They can't talk about the sovereign. And then the subjects turned around and did the same thing. They agreed with me, the sovereign, their master. All Moors are the masters to the subject, by the way. I'm not the only one, but you all need. The subjects turned around and said, okay, our master has said to collect the debt, so let's go ahead and issue something to collect the debt. The debtor. And they have the debtor. They don't have me. I have Islam. In the chat, that's beautiful. They, Justice Yesharel, they can't speak in red. Just one moment. They can't speak in red for lack of right words, i.e. jurisdiction. Correct. Correct. Because words take on a sovereign meaning and sovereign energy and sovereign intention when it's in red and all lowercase letters. That's why. That is jurisdiction, Justice Yesharel. Juris means right and diction means word. In order for the words to be right, they must be expressed in their sovereign status also, because words have a status. Words have a status. If it wasn't in jurisdiction, it wouldn't be a word. But it is a word because words have a status. So don't let anybody tell you, oh, we can just do it the way the hybrids taught us in those schools. We can do it that way. We're sovereign. We can do it that way. We got to be competent to express. We must have a national expression. Wow. In the chat, Islam, Empress of Moor. Yes. All nations must have a language that they all understand. It must be different from all other nations. We have that. It's ancient English or Moorish Latin or Spanish or French. Because see, ancient English is all of those put together. If you read, if I write out a whole paragraph in ancient English, you're going to see words that are Spanish. You look the word up and it's going to be the exact Spanish spelling and everything. Then you'll see the word next to it and it'll be French. And the word next to that will be German or Celtic. Or the word next to that will be common English. But it'll be in red and all lowercase letters.
So you mean it's all bullshit like you usually do? Oh, there it is,
right there. There it is right there. We write in all languages because all languages come from us, just like every living being comes from us. In one way or another, either we birth or create. Period. Are there any other questions or comments or listen? We're getting a lot of kickback on the ancient English and the lowercase letters and all that. It's okay. We're so excited about that because, you know, we love everybody who's doing that. We love them, and we're gonna be right here, writing in red and all lowercase letters, and throwing debt in jail, because that's how we do. We're gonna govern this land. Period. We're doing it already by getting rid of corpses and corporations and taking control of the resources, because that's what we do. And that must be expressed in our national expression. It must be done in the way that the national and the nation does. that has to look different from what we learned in animal school. It must be erudite. Writing in red in all lowercase letters in ancient English is erudition, because guess what? No one else would have taught us that. They can't teach us that. Just like they couldn't teach us that we were more than we're the heirs to all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. They weren't going to teach us the things that we were supposed to hear from our knowing, from our knowers. They were never going to teach us that. They were under oath not to. That's something that the ancestral energies, that's what clearing energy is all about, is clearing it. And you all know this already because you hear from the ancestors just as much as I do. That clearing the energy and creating a space for the ancestral energies to come to manifest, because they're already within us. All they're doing is just manifesting in our studies and in our unity, etc. Any other questions, comments, any wisdom, anything at all? Islam.
Islam.
Yes.
You've done a lot of work to demonstrate why we're doing what we're doing. And I also can hear, the chatter around us, and that the ones who are not, on board with this yet. And in order to keep the peace and love between us, they must provide also the reason why they feel or they understand or overstand why this is incorrect. They too must provide. We're in a day where we all must stake our claim and why something is incorrect, and because we're doing it because for all of us. It's not about being right. So they too, the ones who push back, let's see what do they have to as proof of this is not the correct way. Anyway, thank you, Islam.
Empress, that's rich. That's very rich what you said there. That's beautiful. Islam, nobility, go ahead.
Brother Anye Bule Eel, Tennessee Territory. Sister Light, I called in on the call prior to your being stolen from us to express my love for you and your being returned to us. I extended to you that I love you. We needed you. You were a jewel. You were a bar of gold to us. And in honor of every other sister on this call, I'm just trying to keep from allowing any of you to be disrespected. I don't call women bitches. I've heard this scum refer to you as that on more than one occasion. And it's not setting well with me as a man. It's stirring up the warrior in me. And I'm no longer going to hold my peace. I just am not. It's a matter of supreme disrespect to you and every other sister on this conference that has to hear that. And I'm not embracing it anymore. So when I start 6 and I let loose, just say that warrior is releasing wrath.
Islam, nobility.
Islam.
I will say this about that. First, thank you. I honor your energy. I honor the energy that is protective of us. I honor that. I do, from the depths of who we are. I honor that. I want to be sure that there is no, there's nothing that I add to the fact that I honor that. I will say this about that. and this is something that I'm practicing, we cannot govern by emotion. And as we go and start dealing with the other nations who are accustomed to the patriarchy, we have to be unbiased and unmovable in all that we do. That hybrid and his little gang of court jesters are sent to test us, to test our energies, because our ancestors know what we're going to have to deal with as we continue to, because see, we're preparing now to step on, you know, all the other nations of the earth have to write in red and all lowercase letters and all of that. They have to do their own court actions. We got to teach them all of that. And some are not going to receive it as well as others. We can't be thrown off by that, and we can't allow anyone else to pull emotion from us when we are supposed to be thinking clearly. Yes, in the chat, Empress, be angry, but sin not. Yes. Nobility, I honor. I know the anger, the frustration, I get it. I get that. I get it. And I honor your protectiveness of us. Don't let the hybrid cause you to say something that is outside of your nobility. Let me say this about nobility, because nobility is not just something, it's not just in our spirit. It's in our spirit, but it's not just there. It's also in our DNA, in our ONA. There is, if you look on a periodic table of elements, there is an element on the far most alkaline side of the chart. It's called a noble. That's the name of the element. And the reason that element is, the reason we're called noble and nobility is because we have the most of that element in us. And the main characteristic of that element is that it is non-reactive. No one can make us do anything. You know how people say, he made me mad, she made me mad. They didn't make you. You made you. No one has the ability to create anything in us that we don't allow. And so that, the hybrids, you know, no, they don't bother me at all. But I know that they bother some of the Moors, because there is disrespect, but you have to know that they are not disrespecting me. They're disrespecting a corpse. I'm not a corpse. That's why I don't, you know, I don't need to call them names and all of that. They know what they are. They know that they're, you know, they know what we made them from.
Islam, I get it, and
you know,
it's I don't think it's I've mastered that lower self of them. It's just a matter of honor and respect to the energy that is displayed in the midst of royalty. You all, sisters. I don't appreciate that. I'm like Muhammad Ali right now. He did all that with George Foreman and Frazier and all them, you know, with ranting and raving at the press pre-fight interview. They checked his blood pressure. It was stable. I'm stable. I just don't appreciate it.
Yes. I'm glad to hear you say that part about the blood pressure and the stability and all of that, because that's so important. That is actually the nobility in you that keeps you from, you know, tearing up the place. Because, see, we're too powerful to run around tearing up stuff. It's our vast mistake. We're too powerful for that, and you know that already. That's why I honor that. I absolutely honor you for that energy. You got to
Islam.
realize
Thank you, beloved.
they are being themselves. They are a shadow of our Lord. So they're not even our Lord. They're not even equal to our Lord self. They're a shadow
Islam.
of that.
Islam.
You see what I'm saying? So even at
Islam.
our lowest, we still could not be that. So we can't let that pull anything out of us. But you know that already. I'm affirming what you already know because you've already said it. That disabled. They can't cause you to destroy your own vast estate. Over them. But see, you got to know that that's why they're sent, because see, they know where we're going, and they know that when we get there, we can't be volatile. We can't be easily entreated or induced. Because, see, that's how they got us a lot of times in the past, is they induced us to fraud by saying certain things. I remember one time when I first woke up, and I knew then that I was not black. Well, the first thing when I came in contact with a hybrid and I was asserting who I am, the first thing that came out of that hybrid's mouth was black. She's black. She was on the phone talking to policy enforcers, talking about she's black. And it struck a chord with me until I realized that that's a trigger word. See, the hybrid comes to the call because he's trying to trigger as many of us as possible. You don't know how many more I hear say that some more don't even want to listen to the call anymore because that triggers them so much. They get so angry that they end up yelling at their computer. And they say, I just have to wait until it comes on YouTube, and I'll just listen to it when I'm calm,
It's,
and I'm
go ahead, beloved. I was just going to say, it doesn't have any power over me, Sister Light. It's time for me to check it. I'm not going nowhere. As long as these conference calls are conducted, and I can get through with beyond the meeting being locked or anything, I'll be on site. But the man in me will not let me stand aside and let y'all be exposed to that. And I have no reservations for the man that I am, and my first duty and is to be me. And with me not being disrespectful to sisters and calling them all this old nonsense, and I get it that they're not referring to you. It doesn't please me. It doesn't sit well with me, and I held my peace as long as I could.
Islam, nobility. I know that he's not that the hybrid is not talking to me. He's actually trying to get pulled. Cause see, he can't pull anything out of me, but he's trying to do that. That's monkey business, and we're not monkey.
Right, I'll tell you.
That's monkey. That's when we were minors, that kind of stuff had something to do with it. But we're not minors anymore. That's kind of like when you tell the child to you can't have that candy, and the child just starts, I want the candy. That's what that is. That's what that is. We're beyond that. We're beyond that. But some will still be tested with that. We're beyond it, and so it does not bother. I just boot them. I just boot them out, or put them on hold.
Islam.
Because the heirs have to know that we're going to be tested every step of the way on this grand rising, because the earth knows that we're expected to be a certain way, to be noble. And there's going to be tests of our nobility. I'm practicing now. Court action, do a court action, or Buddha, etc. So anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on that. Yes, Islam, Empress.
Okay, I didn't know if you can hear me. You mentioned something about where we are going. And I started thinking about that because I was looking at a YouTube video, and they were talking about where we are going, and they were talking about the fifth density. And what they were saying was, at this point, with the fifth density, we have to focus, of course, on the heart chakra. We have to focus on the heart chakra and clearing that energy, because the love energy, which is connected to the universe and source, is what needs to be present right now. So it goes on to what you are saying about, even though things like this happens, because I'm sure it may have made a lot of us mad originally. I don't look at it no more, because where we're going, the people that are not on that wavelength, that they're not coming there, and they're upset about it. But this is where we're going, and it should be a celebration right now. We've already won. You know, when you win, you're going to have the losers. You know, they're going to act out. They might be mad. You know, you might see them cry. I was watching March Madness, and I seen a lot of the college children. They were crying because they lost. But the team that won was excited. They were happy. You know what I mean? And we're winning right now. It is what it is. They were talking about the 9 waves that are coming out right now, and all this energy that's hitting the planet, and we're taking in pieces of light, which is pieces of love every day. So we just need to, you know, clear our bodies, keep them alkaline, like you said, drink plenty of water, get our fruits and organic fruits and vegetables in our bodies to keep taking on this light, because our physical makeup is becoming less dense, and we're becoming more spiritual, and this is helping with our transformation. And we got to focus on that, because where we're going, they can't come. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. So you won already. You won already. You laugh at them when they come in. You know, it's funny now to me. It wasn't funny in the beginning. You know, years ago when I started with you guys, and then when they first started coming on the call, it wasn't funny. I'm like, what is going on here? But I've learned so much, or I've got my erudite lessons throughout these years now, and now I'm like, you know, it's funny now because I know where we're headed. You know what I mean? Yeah, they can't mess with us no more. It's a wrap for them. That's why when you keep saying it's a wrap, she literally means it. It is a wrap. It's over. It's done. You know what I mean? There's nothing they can do. They can just talk and say and be the children, you know, act like kids rather. And be you know, be like you said, they're who they are. They've been created through animals, and they're going to act that way. But don't let that disturb you and your nature and your growth and the things that you're doing to, you know, get yourself ready for the transformation that's happening and where we're going. I yield.
Teach, Empress. Teach. Wow. Wow. Yes. Islam indeed. Yes. That's Empress Shade. I'm just saying that is on point 100%. That is exactly where we are. Listen, it's on. They're not even going to be able to see in just a few weeks. They ain't going to be able to interrupt calls like that. And they're not really, to me, they're not an interruption. I just boom and keep going. They don't need. The thing is, they don't even interrupt my thought flow. They used to interrupt my thought flow at first, but I knew that the ancestors were testing me, and all of us are being tested by this. You know, they were testing me to see, okay, if something happens, are you still going to govern? Because at one point, you know, some were saying, well, right, you should make the calls private and put a code on the calls and, you know, all of this stuff. And I'm like, no, the ancestors didn't tell me to do that. So I wasn't going to do it. Excuse me. Now I got so excited. Excuse me. The ancestors didn't tell me to do that because they were saying, that's a test. Just keep going. Just keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. And take the test. And so I said, okay, I'm going to take the test. I'm going to let that happen and let it happen. So until the point where it doesn't bother me anymore. It's called desensitization. It's overcoming by desensitizing. And that's something that we have to do while remaining sensitive to the fact of why they're doing that. Just like Empress today said, they're not going where we're going, so there's there's some little bit of stuff going on there. Justice Frank, they keep us on our toes. We're supposed to stay on our toes for real. Where energies are concerned, we're supposed to not let anything catch us off guard or unawares. Yes, Justice J, just consider the source. And look behind the source and see where that's really coming from, because where that's really coming from is the master is here. Is that really my master? Let me test the energy to see if that's really my creator. You see? And they will know by the amount of peace that we continue to exhibit as they do things like that. Sticks and stones used to be able to break our bones, but words will never hurt. And they never will. We gotta be tougher than that. Because you know what? If the hybrid was not here, if he didn't ever come on to the call, and this is the part we have to think about too and prepare for, and be prepared. If the hybrid is not on our call, there are still others who are saying things about us too that aren't hybrid. How are we going to take that? Those are our brothers and sisters. And I'll just put this out there. Sometimes family members can say things that are hurtful. How do the heirs who are governing this whole vast estate, how do we deal with that? Are we still going to show them love? Yes. Oh, the chat is lit. It's lit. Yes, all of that. Justice Niall, Justice Ramos, all of that. All of that that you put in the chat for real. So we're better than that. And, some people might take issue with me saying that we're better than that, but we are. I'm learning to just stay in my nobility and call it what it is. That's not ego. We're better than that. We're better than acting like monkeys when a monkey come and act like a monkey. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that to make the point. We love the hybrids. We created them. And we created them to make us better, to assist us in becoming in standing in our full glory. This is the return of the Savior. All of us are the Saviors. See, the church has been looking for Jesus to return. Go look in the mirror.
Islam.
The Savior is already here. And the Savior should not be, going back and forth with the creation. We're not going to go back and forth with the creation. We're going to put the creation in subject status and then send them on their way. That's what we do. We just send them on their way. I'm so excited for us. We have risen. Yes, Empress Amore in the chat. We have risen. Period. We're up from the grave. A shallow grave at that, because we weren't even really dead. We just had a dead corpse covering over us, or we thought we did. We got this. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. We got this already. Empress today, I gotta give you a whole applause for what you said, Empress. That's the truth. It's a wrap. Done. Yes, we are the resurrection for the entire planet, and that's a part of the court actions that we do. All rise and stand. Now, one thing about the hybrids, the one thing they're not doing that they used to do when we were thinking we were black is threatening. Excuse me. Threatening to do things, and all of this kind of stuff. It's none of that. And if someone walks up to you and calls you a tree, and you know you're not a tree, it's not even going to bother you, because you're like, they're not talking to me, I'm not a tree.
Islam.
That's how I feel about that. But see, they do it because they know it's gonna trigger some buttons, and those buttons need to be triggered so that we can see what we need to work on within it. That's all. We're better than that. We're better than that. Anyway. With that being said, are there any other, the wisdom in here today is just off the charts. I'm just going to tell y'all, I'm loving what we're hearing here. This is amazing. That's why I love these calls, because I love to hear the more, I mean, we already got it. It's in our energy. Is there any other wisdom, questions, comments, anything like that? Okay.
Islam?
Go ahead, my brother. Yes, go ahead, Answer.
You're right. This is the purpose of the call, because we energize each other, and we feed off each other's energy.
Yeah.
And those who don't care to, they should, find their way. But in the meantime, you're right. We're not going anywhere. This is a done deal. This is it. We've seen it. We've seen the light. We've seen the light. Islam is prison.
We are all that. That's what that comes from. We are all the light. We are all the truth, the freedom, the justice, the peace. We are all that. It's all about the Moors. It's all about us. It always has been. So, I'm excited for it. I really am. I'm excited also for the April 26th symposium as well. I'm really excited about that because, and it's on a Monday, by the way. April 26th is a Monday at 7. Because that's just going to do, they know we're going there already. That's all I have to say about that is, this is the part we've been waiting for. When I say this is the part, this is the time we've been waiting for. This is our time. It's a wrap. We're done. This is our time. So, are there any other questions, comments? Thank you so much for the energy, because yes, we do feed off each other. That's why the prophet talked about active mood, because he knew that just us talking to each other on the phone, not to mention this many of us in a suite, coming together and exchanging energy, it's going to renew and energize even more so.
Islam.
So, yes, Islam, no business.
The symposium. I'm thinking that I have to go to Seattle, Washington to join in. I'm in Philadelphia. Where is it? Is it online? I'm not clear.
It's online. It's just going to be right here on this channel, right here on this platform right here.
Oh, thank you. Oh, okay. I thought I had to catch the plane or something. All right.
Oh, no. In fact, let me put the let's see. Let me put it on the screen.
Right.
That way, you can see, because I don't want to be talking about it and you're not happy. Sure, I put it in.
Let me get muted here.
That way, it will show. Okay, there it is. Okay, there it is. In fact, let me okay, there it is. So now, yes, Islam. That's it. There it is right there. There's the symposium information on the screen. It's going to be April 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's going to be right here on this on this platform. It is an investment symposium, but it's a sovereign investment symposium, so you do not need fiat. Just bring your sovereign status, and then we'll go from there so that we can get this commerce going the way it's supposed to be going. We're ready to. It's going to be great. Are there any other questions, comments? If not, peace and grand rising to the sovereign original indigenous.
Much love.
Yes,
Hello, I have questions.
Islam.
But you won't answer. You won't answer.
Unmuted.
Well, you won't answer my question. Where's the gold kept? Where are you keeping the gold?